I'm going to read fast because we have a guest coming in 10 minutes, and it's all Kat's fault because she doesn't make piles of things, and I lost the papers. I like this. I can blame her for everything. Here we go. This is from The Moth Presents Occasional Magic. It's by Aaron Naparstek, and I'm probably butchering that name. Aaron is a journalist, an activist, and a teacher and a founder of streetsblog.org. Since its launch in 2006, Streetsblog has informed, inspired, and helped to build a livable streets movement that is bringing a more human-centered, less automobile-oriented urban design and transportation policy approach to cities across North America and around the world. I figured we needed a little community today. Hanku by Aaron Naparstek. It was December 2001, and I was living in a one-bedroom apartment on the third floor of an old brownstone on Clinton Street in Cobble Hill, Brooklyn. It was a nice place, very affordable. It had 3 big windows facing the street and got lots of great light. There was just one problem with the spot. It was the honking. At the time, I was working as a web producer. I was what back then was called a community producer. This was the person who set up and ran chat rooms and message boards and did a lot of stuff that today you would just call social media. I was living and working by myself most of the time in this apartment, and I really got to know the honkers. I could tell from just the sound of a honk, without even seeing it, what kind of vehicle it was. So the bright major chord with a bit of a dual note, that was the Ford Crown Vic, the yellow cab, a real blood pressure spiker. The deeper, more bone-jarring, discordant honk, that was the Lincoln Town Car, one of the worst sounds in the world. It got to the point where I felt like I could understand the honks, like I could translate this awful monosyllabic language into actual thoughts and feelings and meaning. So the quick honk honk over there by my living room window, that's somebody saying, "Hey buddy, light just turned green." The deeper honk over there by my bedroom window, that's somebody who's 8 cars back and can't really see anything and is telling the guy in front, "Yeah, you should run over the pedestrians because I gotta go places." I thought I'd heard pretty much all the honks you could hear on Clinton Street, had cataloged them, knew them. Then one day, I was sitting down to work on a mindfulness and meditation website that I happened to be producing at the time, and I heard this honk that I had never heard before. It was essentially just honk. You get the idea. Whereas most honks have clear start and end points, this honk was essentially infinite. It didn't stop. So eventually, as the honk passes, honk, and the 3-minute mark, I come up to the window to see what is going on. I look outside and I can tell it's coming from this blue sedan directly beneath my window. I notice that this honker is actually honking at a red light. That just seems unacceptable. I decide in that moment that I'm going to my refrigerator. I get a carton of eggs. I'm returning to my window. And if this honk is still going by the time I get back to the window, the driver is getting an egg on his windshield. When I return to my window, honk. So I start pelting. My first egg misses, but I was a pitcher in high school. I feel like I've got this. My second egg explodes on the roof of the blue sedan in this very satisfying thud. It stops the honk, and I probably could have left it there. That could have been it. But I kept throwing. I kept throwing eggs. Now the honker is out of his car, and by the time the egg is actually splattering across his windshield, he is standing in the middle of Clinton Street, staring up at my 3rd floor window, going completely ballistic. He's a middle-aged guy, balding, 40-ish, indeterminate ethnicity, and his general message to me, which I will have to rephrase, I know where you live and I'm coming back tonight and I'm going to kill you. So clearly a flaw in my plan that I had not thought about ahead of time. The guy drives off, but I'm shaken. I'm agitated, and for the rest of the day, I can't focus. For the next couple of days, I find myself milling about my apartment looking for household items that would make for good self defense weapons. I actually go to sleep with a large plumbing wrench next to my pillow. I realize I need a different way of handling the honking. So the next time it really starts to bother me, I decide to take some advice from the meditation and mindfulness website that I'm working on. I decide to sit down, take a deep breath, and just observe the honking on Clinton Street. And then I take those observations and I start boiling them down into pithy haiku. Haiku is a traditional form of Japanese poetry, 3 lines of 5, 7, and 5 syllables. Its goal is to observe quietly and leave the reader with a kind of moment of zen. I call my poems hanku, and it feels good to do this. It feels good to write them. My first hanku is simply this: you from New Jersey, honking in front of my house, in your SUV. Just a snapshot. The essence of Clinton Street. This poem really pleases me, so I print up 50 copies and I go out very late at night because I'm sort of embarrassed about this. And I tape the hanku up and down Clinton Street on lampposts. This becomes my regular honking therapy regimen. Whenever the honking really starts to bother me, I sit myself down, I write some hanku. Toward the end of the week, I pick my favorite one from the latest batch. I print 50 copies. I go out very late at night. I tape them up. It feels like I'm honking back now in my own quiet way, and I have some power over the honker. One night, I'm out there taping up my honker. I've been doing this for about a month, and I'm still kind of surreptitious and a little embarrassed about it. I turn around, and I see that a woman is standing near me. She's been out late walking her dog, and she sees me standing there, caught red-handed with my heavy-duty tape dispenser. I brace myself, and she comes up to me and says, "Excuse me, but are you the bard of Clinton Street?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I guess so." And she gets very excited. She says, "We love your work. It's fantastic. We're so sick of the honking. And my daughter's there now writing hanku too. Would you sign one? Could I get your autograph? My husband would love that." As I make my way down Clinton Street that night, I notice that a few other hanku writers by strangers have popped up on the lamppost. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Over the next few days and weekends, many hanku blossom on the lampposts of Clinton Street, and I realize suddenly I'm not alone here. There are people who feel the same way. The next time I go out posting hanku, I decide to put a website address on my poem, hanku.org. At hanku.org, I do my online community producer thing, and I create a message board. I call it the lamppost. And within days of my putting this thing online, there are dozens of neighborhood people hanging out online at the lamppost. They're chatting with each other about problems in the neighborhood, trading hanku, talking about solutions, and I say, "Guys, let's get together in person. Why not? Saturday, 11 a.m. on my front stoop. Come on out." About a dozen people actually show up. And it turns out to be this diverse, funny, smart group of people who'd all been living next to each other, in some cases for years, but had never actually met. We're having a good time, and someone notices that on the lamppost, on my own corner, there's a sign very high up that says, "No honking, $125 penalty." I had seen this sign before, and I'd never really thought much about it. But everybody gets excited about it. Like, hey, the law's on our side. Let's make the city live up to its no honking ideal. So that afternoon, I go home and I type up some letterhead for something called the Hanku organization. I fire off letters to my local elected representatives and community organizers, and I decide to attend a community meeting. I show up at the monthly community meeting of the 76th precinct, the police station. It's probably the least .com place you can imagine. It's got the puke green subway tile on the walls and fluorescent lighting and burly mustachioed cops, and I'm easily the youngest person in the room by a good 20 years. The other attendees seem like regulars. I'm really nervous, like, what the hell am I doing? But the first guy stands up and he says, look, this new bar that moved next door to me, it's making too much noise. You've got to do something about it. A woman stands up and she's complaining about the speeding and the double parking on Court Street. The next guy's angry about his neighbor's dog barking all the time. And it slowly starts to dawn on me. These are my people. I have found the place that is possibly where I most belong. I'm starting to get up the nerve to raise my hand and speak when very late into the meeting in walks this 6'5" tall, smiling, bearded guy, and the commanding chief of the precinct says, hey everybody, welcome our brand new city council member. He's just been on the job for a few weeks now, Bill de Blasio. Come on in, Bill. If you recognize the name, he is now the mayor of the city of New York. Keep in mind, this was written in, or told in, 2016. Bill sits right next to me, and I notice at the very top of the stack of the papers on his lap is a piece of letterhead from the Hanku organization. I think, okay, I'm going to wait and see what de Blasio does. He takes the floor immediately, and it's almost like Bill is my downstairs neighbor on Clinton Street. He goes into the most perfect description of the honking crisis. It's not just a minor quality of life issue. This is a serious public health and safety issue. He firmly but politely asks the police to get out there and enforce that no honking sign. The police say, how's a 3-week no honking blitz on Clinton Street sound to you? And I'm like, that sounds incredible. The next Monday morning, for the first time in as long as I can remember, I oversleep. Clinton Street is quiet. There were no horns. When I do finally wake up, I jump over to my window to see what's going on, and I see that guy from the 76th precinct are standing there and talking to every single driver coming up Clinton Street. You know, the Hanku organization, I'll just be honest with you, we did not accomplish our ultimate mission of ending horn honking in New York City. That battle is still there to be fought for someone else. But we did start making a bunch of changes and fixes on Clinton Street and the streets around it. And then this actually became my work and my career, doing advocacy and community organizing and media to make cities better for pedestrians and cyclists and transit riders. The real success of Hanku, though, the thing that I think was most significant was that now, when my neighbors and I are walking down Clinton Street, instead of being in our little bubbles of honk anger, we talk to each other. Clinton Street wasn't just a street anymore. It was a neighborhood, and we were really producing community. Thanks for listening.